Hello, welcome to the Real League Show. We heard earlier from the Edwards and Webster Show. We are the match of the day to their football focus. Joining me tonight is the current league champion, Anthony Bromley. Good evening, Ant.
Good evening.
And resident lucky bastard, Josh Powers.
Hello.
Right, first of all, I think Josh has a few things to say in reply to Conrad's comments in the earlier edition of the show. Go, take it away, Josh.
Basically, Conrad, if you're more than welcome to have the power I have if you're willing to put in the work. Because it's fucking boring, it's tedious, and nobody gives a fuck. You're chasing people around saying, do you want this, do you want that, what's going on, no, blah, 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 blah. And it gets boring, so I've sort of not given up, I'm still doing it, but I don't put the effort into it anymore. So you're more than welcome, Conrad, to take the responsibility. And as for the cheating accusations, feel free to investigate as much as you want. There is no corruption here, it's not FIFA, it's the Fantasy Football League, where nobody gives a fuck anyway, so why would I cheat?
I mean, Josh, you sound quite rattled there. Is it fair to say that those comments have got to you?
It's more annoying, it's got to me because it's annoying that people don't respect what I do for the league.
Okay, I mean, I can understand that feeling. Anthony, is that something you've experienced in the past as leader before?
I did. I don't think it rattled me as much. But I did get to the point where Josh got where the effort becomes less and you just kind of deal with what needs to be done rather than enjoying asking people, what transfers need to be done and stuff like that.
And another thing, is that's why I made the new sheets, because it's easier for me, because I was doing it all, so I made the new sheets, which I think are really good, work well, they do the job. It's a lot smoother and easier for me as the leader, in quotation marks, to perform my duties.
Fair enough. Anthony, I don't think you've had a chance to watch the earlier show, so you can't really comment on what was said about you.
But if you want to update me with anything that's crucial.
Basically, you are. I think you were described as one of the milder members of the group who is involved but doesn't offer that much in the chat, and just sort of gets along. Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
And the other thing that was mentioned is that you receive apparently unjustified and unnecessary criticism from those other two, which I believe were me and Josh. Do you think that's true? We give you too much shit?
I think only in the realms of banter. So not too much now.
I think that's right. I think you've got to be able to take the banter in these kind of situations, haven't you?
You do.
I'd just like to reply. I mean, it was said that I was opposed to everything, against everything, which is probably true in the sense that some people in this league are going to be shorn the sheep and follow the leader. Others would like to express their opinions. Opinions like arseholes. We all have one. Some like showing them off in Dixon's, and this is what I do. I have ideas. I share them. Don't think there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes it is quite funny just to not agree with everybody else because it causes a bit of a debate. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say in reply. So we'll move on, but a similar sort of thing to what the lads did earlier. We'll go through the league and give your opinions on the performance over the season. Do it in reverse order as well. So we're starting with Massey. Thoughts, Anthony?
I mean, I'd be hard pressed to say that we didn't all expect it from how he drafted. We kind of expected him to be where he is, but he did fairly well last year, if I remember correctly. And he did do some decent free transfers. He picked up a couple of players that got him a lot of points, and whether it's just the commitment to it or whether it's the actual football knowledge that he lacks, there's just still something missing from his team, I think.
I think Massey, he has a keen interest in football from when I've spoken to him, and Ben made a good point actually in the other show, which I will bring up, is that the spine of that team actually isn't that bad. With your Azpilicueta, Kante, Lallana, Lukaku, they're 5 players that probably most people in the league would have. Other than that, as they said, maybe not so much.
What you got to think though is that Massey actually didn't draft his team, it was Conrad who drafted on Massey's behalf.
Yeah, I think Massey sort of shouted names at him.
I have to say allegedly at this point.
Allegedly.
For legal reasons.
There's cheating. There's cheating inclusion right there, boys.
Well, Massey
Ooh,
says he did it, so there's no reason for.
I mean, that's a fair point, Josh. I mean, you've been accused of bending the rules or cheating even. And, you know, if Conrad has picked Massey's team for him, then that's something that...
We have to look into
the
further.
same. Exactly, I think it's something you've got to put under the same bracket. Massey, I think... In fact, you could say this about the bottom three, I think. You got Gaz and Ben as well, which make up the rest of the bottom three. Probably the three people who have put the least in the chat and over the season transfer-wise, etc.
I think for Ben, leading up to before Christmas, he was involved. And then, as he said to me, and probably Anne, that work took over a bit too much for him. And he sort of just gave up and couldn't be bothered anymore.
I think it is partially, you boys are all together, Ben and Conrad are together. You know, I'm involved because I helped start the thing. Ben works nights, so it's harder for him to be involved in the chat. Massey lives in Wales, so, you know, he isn't
the thing is,
with any of us.
You can work nights, but it takes 5 minutes out of your day to set your team.
Oh, to set your team, yeah, I get that, of
Even
course.
to look at
I
free
think,
transfers, you know, it doesn't take
I
10
think
minutes.
that comes with being involved in the chat and everything, that doesn't it? You know, the more involved you are in that, the more involved you are with setting your team.
I think, like, if you look at the league table all the way through, I think there's a direct correlation between the amount that you're involved and how well you're doing. Chris is probably the exception because Chris goes quite long spells sometimes without setting a team. But he's vocal in the chat when it's going well, and he'll disappear again after a defeat for a few weeks. And I think that's why we've seen this run of form, because at the start of the season, you know, everyone knows that Chris had a bit of a meltdown. He threatened to quit the league.
And that's why he shouldn't win the league. That's why he should not be allowed to win the league.
Put into, you know, Jim, there were his strong comments the other night that Chris doesn't deserve the league.
And I'd like a formal apology because I was called the snake, even though I didn't know anything about it.
I mean, Jim the Snake, yeah. Yeah, I think the effort, it reflects in the table, definitely. I mean, apart from himself, he was fourth, and that is just stressing, to say the least, at the minute. We'll move on to the other one of the new boys, and say, and Conrad, who's in seventh. Always got something funny to say. He's a bit of a comedian in the chat. Results haven't been so funny, so... Given this criticism of you, Josh, what do you have to say about Conrad's team, first of all?
Looking at his team current side, I mean, it's a good... he just doesn't... Like you say, he doesn't set his team, he doesn't really bother with it, does he? He did at the start, but since like the new sheets have come into it, it's just sort of like... I think he's done 4 transfers tops, and he just doesn't seem to take interest anymore.
Fair enough, and we've spoken about his comments to you before, so we'll leave that. And so, Anthony, for you, Conrad's team?
His is, I'd like to believe, the most odd team, because bar having, was it Pogba? I think it was Pogba.
He got Pogba on the waiver wire.
Yeah, on the waiver wire. I can't think of a standout player that he had at the start of the season. Obviously, I traded him Sanchez for Pogba so I could get Ibra when Sanchez was out of form, so he got incredibly lucky to get him just as he came into like the 20 goals that he scored.
I can tell you Conrad's top 5 picks were Vardy, Sturridge, Bellerin, Musa and Cahill.
So there you've got Bellerin and Cahill. Now Cahill's had a great season obviously because of Chelsea. Bellerin's had an okay season. The rest of the three I don't think anybody would have picked in your first 11.
I mean, going off last season's form, you can understand Jamie Vardy's selection.
Oh, the Vardy, yeah, of course.
This season, obviously, that's been a different story. He's been passed about a bit. Yeah, I mean, talking to people that have been passed about a bit, just going back to Ben's team, who is below Conrad in the table, he has Aguero. Been passed about like chlamydia this season.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened to Aguero? Is he just past it now?
I don't think he's past it. I don't think he suits Pep's football as well as Jesus does. Like when Jesus plays, he does a bit more than Aguero. But when he played against Middlesbrough, he played a 4-4-2. Aguero actually did a bit. But aside from that, before that, he seemed a bit lazy. Like didn't care as much. Like no effort, no energy.
The thing is, he didn't really have to compete against anyone recently, has he?
No, it's a good point. He's always been a top dog at City, even when Tevez was there, Xhaka, Adebayor. Was Adebayor there? I don't know if Adebayor was there when he was there. But you know what I mean? He's always been top dog, sorry.
Right, we'll move slightly up the table to Mr. Inconsistent himself, Jim. Looking at the table now, Jim has 15 wins and 17 defeats with no draws. You don't get much more mixed than that, really. It's an identical record. With, let me have a look at this. Who am I looking at? Sorry, he's got 2 more wins than Conrad, so he's probably pretty safe in his position. Can you afford to lose 17 games and expect to be in the top 4 of the table?
Was he ever in the top 4? Sorry, didn't he go on that little bit of a run? Or
He did, yeah. He did, yeah. He broke into the top 4, and since then, when he boasted that he had the best team actually, and from then on he has hit a bit of a slump again.
He did win 5 games in a row between game week 9 and 13, so that's probably the period where he was the best side in the league. But
yes,
as Conrad even said, that he just makes stupid decisions. Like Benteke scored a brace at Liverpool. First thing he did, Benteke's up for sale. Like why would you sell you just informed player?
I mean, talking a bit. Look, to give you a bit of a backstory to Jim and Conrad rightly pointed out, he makes stupid decisions. We were on the tennis court the other week, and Gaz was getting a ball from under a fence, and Jim just decided for no reason to pick up a rock, hit it with his tennis racket, and smash Gaz on the head with it. Now, that's the kind of decision that you think, how can he be involved in managing a football team?
Thank God it's not a real football team.
Did that really happen?
That is a genuine story from last week where I think Gaz was going to file assault charges at one point. There was a scab on his head afterwards. So yeah, you have to question the mental state of someone who would actually do that. And I think some of his transfer, like you've just said, his transfer policy is similar to the rest of his life, really. We'll go again. We'll leave Jim there. Or that gets out of hand. We'll talk about your season, Anthony. Again, it's a very mixed bag. You've had 1 more defeat than you have wins. Decent amount of points for your players, your team, but just not quite enough this season. After last season's success, are you disappointed? Are you just accepted it? What's your thought?
I understood after last season that you can't always win every match, and to be fair, anyone in the top 4 this season is impressive. I've nudged up there. I think I've not done well enough to get into it, but I've cleared off, 5th place more or less. So I'm happy with that. It's been the thing that we've said most of the season. It's been the most level season out of the 2. The majority of games that I believe a lot of people have lost has been a 5-point margin, something like that, and it's as simple as starting the wrong player when you might, start say De Gea. He doesn't keep a clean sheet, but then Jakubovic for Hull does, and it's just luck at the end of the day.
I mean, I agree. I think it's definitely been a more competitive season, right throughout the league, and not just table as it is now, but like you say, each week the games have been closer. They could have gone either way a lot of times.
Personally,
would you say that? Go on.
I think Ant could have been top 4 if he kept Sanchez easily.
Oh, certainly.
Probably even top 2. Really, seriously.
Because
Sanchez
I don't know. Has been quiet though, hasn't he, in recent weeks?
Well, I
the
think
been
over
quiet.
the whole season, 230 odd points he's got.
Yeah, the thing that I don't know is, which I haven't looked at, would Sanchez have saved me those particular weeks? That's the important thing, because I know Ibra won me games. So whether Sanchez would have won me the other weeks, that Ibra won me the game still, or whether I just would have lost some more of them instead.
Anthony, aside from Josh King, who has had as the other lads mentioned, has had a great season. Who is your sort of other main striker in your team?
It was Ibra before Sanchez, so I suppose it's Ibra basically. Was the other one? I think I tried more to get 2 decent defenders and 1 or 2 good midfielders. The likes of De Bruyne, Kyle Walker, and then obviously I managed to trade up to Courtois as well, but he hasn't been forming recently. I think my idea was right with the spine, but the players that I have had a couple of injuries. They haven't actually turned up, and it'll make me think how I'm going to draft next season.
It's creeping into the top 4 now. You get me next on in 4th. Disappointing after where I was just a couple of weeks ago. Again, I don't like to talk about it, but I have had injuries. As we know, I don't like to talk about them.
Talk us through the injuries, Adam. Who's had an injury,
well,
Adam?
It'd be a shorter list to say who's not injured. Let's be honest. A lot of the team at the same time as well. I think was a crush. Obviously, Mane, Kane, Phil Jones, who was having a good season. At a similar time to Herrera, who was suspended, so that's a little bit different. And there's another one as well, which I've whacked from my memory because it was upsetting. But yeah, that was that. I've still got the most points for my team in the league. Again, I won the Golden Boot last season. To have the most points and be fourth is a little bit unbelievable.
The thing is, you had most points, but it's hard to say. But like, you won games comfortably, like too comfortably, if that makes sense. And you wish you could have those points for other games. Is that, like,
I'm like Glenn Hoddle there. How can you win a game too comfortably? Yeah, I know what you mean. The points would have been useful in the ones that I've lost by what. I get that. I think that's happened 4 times, which again I don't like to talk about. No, I think I've just been on the wrong end of results. So I can't grumble too much. It's been an enjoyable season for me, so I'll leave that there. Third is you, Josh, on 58 points.
the Jammy Bastard claims.
Jammy, yes. Well, this is it.
You can only beat what's in front of you that game week, and the fixtures are random.
Right, I'll just read the stats out here, Josh. You've scored 1,333 points, right? Which is where's that put you in the league? It puts you 7th.
Does it?
In the standings? Yeah. So I think the Jammy Bastard claims aren't that wide of the mark, are they really?
But then you look at it the other way. You look at points conceded, and I have a positive goal difference, unlike 50% of the league.
Josh is Mourinho.
Exactly.
Again, you have yes a plus. You're in third, and this is the goal. Right, the goal difference in points difference in totals. Right, we'll go first for Ben, who has 217. Chris 144. We'll leave Josh there for a second. Me 254, the most again, and in the middle of that, Josh with 17.
But you can only beat what's in front of you, and every win counts.
Yes, Josh, by quite some considerable margin. When you win, you do not win big.
You don't need to win big as long as you win.
All right, Mourinho.
You don't need to win big as long as you win.
You've been obviously you were upset about your Jammy Bastard claims by Conrad and the Jammy Josh that I came up with, but point to it.
It is, and I'd like to say I've been said that I had a West Brom influence. Rondon's only scored 8 this season, right? 8, and he scored 3 in one game. So Rondon's been absolutely shy. As much as it hurts me to say that.
Well, he was a world beater.
He was when he just scored hat-tricks against Swansea. 3 headers, that is. It was a magical day. But I'll admit I got the best out of Matt Phillips when he was in form. And then I had Craig Dawson, but obviously yourself had Macaulay and Gaz had Foster, so it wasn't just like I was the only one, like, what's the word?
I know what you're saying. Just while we're thinking about it now, while we're on your team, Nessie.
Oh, Nessie, the goal machine.
Who to everybody else is Nias. He is not the reincarnation of Lionel Messi, mainly because he's not 5'7" and white. He is 6 foot and black. That is not racist. That is a fact. It has to stop, Josh, because it's just a ridiculous claim.
Well, no, you call your Harry Kane a wizard. I can call my superstar striker Nessie.
I have seen Harry Kane do magical things. I have never seen Nias look like Lionel Messi.
Nessie scored 2 goals 1 game week, and it's currently allowing me to beat you. So he's a goal machine forever for me.
More like the Loch Ness Monster Nessie, in the sense that he is practically invisible most of the time.
To be fair, he probably should have scored 3 today, which I had him odds on to score a hat-trick, but Pickford was just, a reincarnation of Christ himself. Which brings me on to Gabriel Jesus.
Okay.
He has been a magnificent signing for me. I've had him twice, and I reckon I could have been higher if he didn't break his toe.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well, actually, Josh, is these claims of cheating and stuff. The Jesus saga was a bit of a sticking point where was he illegally obtained?
Well, yeah, I reckon yes, because Jim picked him up without doing the research, which then said to me that he is a part of the league. Jim should have done the research Ant at the time was in charge, I believe, that period. So Ant should have said, "Oh, he's not a real player." So blah blah.
No,
blah.
but Jim picked him up
On the waiver.
As a waiver.
on the waiver
a
wire,
You
which is allowed. You can pick a player up at any point. The thing is, teams don't sign players in the middle of like they sign players in the transfer window. You know, for games like Football Manager, you can sign a player and then they will move at the next transfer window, but it doesn't happen normally. If it did, you on the waiver wire can go, nope, I want that player. Definitely want him. Do you know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with that. And then when he moves in January,
I think
have him.
The argument wasn't is that he wasn't officially a Premier League player when the selection
He was in.
made.
I believe he was in the database. That's the argument I'd make. He was picked up. He was definitely going to be in the Premier League.
He was also playing for another club, which is a bit of a grey area.
It was technically, you could say, on loan. All it is that players from Argentina or wherever it is can't move.
You say technically on loan. There's other Premier League players, like let's say for Joe Hart, for example. He can't be selected because he's on loan. So it's a.
But Jesus
grey
was
area.
guaranteed to move in January. Now I agree. It's Jim should have done the research. We could have potentially told him, but it was too fun to let him pick him and not realise.
Fair enough. You've both answered well. Obviously, you have to ask the questions that people are talking about. We'll go up again to Chris, who is at a lofty second place, considering the meltdown that we've already talked about. Anthony, do you think Chris can go on and win the whole thing?
I can, and it infuriates me. No, I think he's got a chance. Certainly, he's got a strong enough team. You know, we all took the mick out of him for doing those transfers, and he's proved us all wrong. Which. You got to grit your teeth and say fair play.
I mean, we have to talk about the I'm quitting this league comments. It's something that, I'll hold my hands up, I was guilty of last season. I have never done it this season for the reason that, what's the point? It's meant to be fun.
Why did he actually want to leave the league? Why did he actually? I can't remember why he actually wanted to quit.
I think it was the sheer amount of stick he was getting for getting rid of Aguero and Ibrahimovic at the same time.
Was it all mind games though?
He just can't handle pressure, can he? He's not
think yeah, that's part of it. The pressure's part of it, but he wasn't getting results, and every manager under pressure doesn't like it when people question them. It's a fact.
Well, I even said early on this season, mid-table for me, and it's got everyone annoyed that I'm somehow third. I don't even know why. I don't even know how I'm third, but I'm third.
We know how you're first, Josh. You were jamming. We've discussed this.
But I'm superior tactician when it comes down to mind games.
You are good at. No one can deny that tactically you grind out results, which is, fair enough. Chris, you talked about his run as well. It's 10 games in a row, including the postponed games if they stay the way they are. He's in the form of everybody. He's in the best form out of everybody.
Do we know? Sorry, do we know what results need to happen this weekend, including the postponed ones, for the table to finish a certain way yet? Or
yes, I've done some. Research.
Shall we we'll just finish off with Ben, and then
we can go back to that.
You get that research up, Josh, and then you're ready for it. We'll just talk quickly about Ben, which we've said it before. We'll say it again. Amazing first season considering where he was in the draft. You can't really fault him other than his strike force, but yet he's still winning games. So, what do you think about season then, Josh?
It's been dominated massively by Eden Hazard
and Milner.
I wouldn't say Milner's been a key factor. I think it's more Hazard. I mean, looking at Ben's original draft. He's got I think he's got 11 of his original 16 still on his team, which is very impressive.
Been very loyal to the players that he's had.
He has. Yeah, he's drafted well, to be fair, but it's been.
That's it.
He's had a
16 players.
He's had the star player of the season, really, with Hazard.
Would you say Hazard's been the player of the season then?
It's obvious. If they win the league, yes. I know, obviously, Kante won the player of the year, but if they win the league, it's because Hazard and Costa, really. One of them two.
Kante's been the most important player.
Yes.
But Hazard's obviously been
you can't win the title without goals.
How ironic is it, really, that Massey has the player of the year and the top goal scorer in his team?
But looking at Massey's draft, Lukaku and Kante, there you go. Iheanacho, Rashford, Oscar, Dave, Cuadrado.
Yeah, I mean, leaving the rest of it aside, he's got probably two of the most influential players of the whole season, and yet he's where he is.
He's got one of the most inconsistent goal scorers though as well. Like Lukaku bangs in 4 a game and then won't score for 6 games.
Yeah, watched against Swansea today was awful. The whole Everton setup was awful for me, but that's
so we've been through everyone now. So Josh, if you got a few scenarios with the remaining fixtures,
right? If Ben's on course currently to lose this week to Anthony, and if he does so, me and Chris are on course to win, which then will be a 2-point gap between the top 3. And then if Chris is winning 2 postponed games clearly, and then I'm winning 3 postponed games, not clearly, but I'm winning 3 at the moment. And then Ben's winning 2, but if Ben's winning 1, then he's got a game against Anthony, which is very close, and then he's got to play Chris as well. If Ben loses this week, and then Ben loses to Anthony in the postponed game, but wins against Jim, and then beats Chris, and I win all my remaining 4 games, I will win the title. That's the only way I can win the title.
I've got a headache.
It's very hard to explain without
asking the question. I'd
have to write it down fully, but it's hard to write it down to make sense. It'd probably be easy after this game week fixtures are done. I'll write a proper list of how the table can change with the postponed games.
I think
that's probably the easiest way to do it.
The only way I can see it from mine is that I have to beat Jim this week, which so far I am, and I am winning 2 of the 3 postponed games. I have to win all 4 to win the league.
Yeah,
even then, I'm relying on other results.
So I need to win all 4 games and hope that I get a result from Ben or Ant. I don't think Ginger Ben's going to beat Chris this week, but if he does, it's massive for me. So, yeah.
I think it's quite good. Like we were talking before about how close it's been this season.
Exactly, yeah, it's there. So basically, the top 4 all has to win their 4 games to guarantee they're going to win the title. It's not going to happen.
Last season, there was only, I think, with a couple of weeks ago, there was only 3 of us in the, maybe 2 even by the end, but definitely with the last few weeks, there was only 3 in the running, and everyone else was well out of it. So
exactly, yeah.
Do you know what I've realised as well with the Cup, and I've only realised it actually from putting a few bets on this weekend. It's so useful because imagine the title race coming down to the last 2 games of the season, and you've got teams like Southampton start playing the kids because they've got nothing else to play for.
Yeah. And as I say, sorry, go on.
No, it's alright. Go on, finish off.
I was going to say that it's been so tight this season, and there's no one actually said it, but there's been rumours of a 12-man league because Reece said to Chris and he's registered that he wants to join, but I'm against it completely. A 12-man league.
We could do 12, but we'd have
to be honest with you. If it came down to a vote, I'd be sticking at 10 rather than increasing.
10's perfect because the fixtures work really well. You play each other 4 times, which is fair, and you got the 2 remaining fixtures for the cups, which it works perfectly.
All the characters in the league right throughout, they all bring different things. Everyone gets on. I think it's quite nice how it is. And that's probably the nicest thing anyone said about the rest of the league in the whole season.
That's what I mean. If Reece joined, I could see complications.
Don't get me wrong, they're all cunts, but I actually like them. So we'll just talk about, you just mentioned the cups there, Anthony, so we'll go on to the up-and-coming cup fixtures over the next few weeks. The top four are guaranteed to be Ben, Chris, Josh and Adam. Can you pick a winner out of them?
No.
Premier League fixtures, let me have a look at the fixtures. There's a few tough games. I mean, Tottenham have got United. That's probably that tough fixture actually. So
if the league was to finish as it is now, it would be me playing Ben, and I have quite a good record against Ben this season. There's only been 1 where I've lost, and then Chris against Josh. So the 2 competitive fixtures, whichever way. Well, to be fair, whoever plays whoever is going to be a competitive fixture. Yeah. I wouldn't like to call it, to be honest. I've not looked at the fixtures, so I don't really know.
I think the only surprise that could happen is that somehow Gaz gets out of the bottom 2 and Ben drops in. Or even Conrad, maybe. Because Conrad's only at 4 points clear of the drop. Yeah. Only surprises for me.
Looking in now in the League Cup, you've got yourself, Anthony, Jim, Conrad and Ben. It would be a Italian escape derby for you and Ben as it stands. Will you be able to put your love aside to compete in that fixture?
certainly. I have no idea who'll win the cup. You know, every single team that seems to be in that bottom four, if you want to call it that, are the type that can knock out a 60-point game, 60-point week, sorry, but also can have a 25-point week very easily if none of the strikers or defenders actually step into it. Because the midfield, I think it's the midfield will win that cup. Whereas you look at the top, and I think it's strikers and defenders.
It's probably fair to say that going into that, looking at all the squads and the performance over the season, that you're probably favourite for that cup. Is that a tag you'd agree with or want going into it?
Not want, I agree with, yeah, but not want because obviously all the pressure's on me then. Whereas, you know, it's exactly what I said. If my midfielders don't turn up the likes of Kevin, you know, which he has this week, you know, if Pep decides to rest him, I think I've lost the cup basically because he's my big point scorer at the moment with Ibra being out.
Right. Josh, what about you? I mean, you're not going to be in it, but do you have any thoughts on that cup?
Jim might do it because Jim has Aguero, and I think he'll be back by then. Coutinho, Bobby F, you know, Özil. He's got good players.
Sorry, just to correct you, doesn't Ben have Aguero now?
Sorry, yeah, he does have Aguero, but sorry, right. It still is Coutinho, Bobby F, Bentequez, who likes scoring goals. And Llorente today scored a vital goal for Swansea. So I think if with Llorente and Swansea's fixtures, who they have Sunderland away and then West Brom at home, I can see Llorente getting a few for Jim. So perhaps Jim could be a dark horse in that.
I mean, it'd be a vast improvement on his wooden spoon last season.
It would be a vast improvement.
So talking of the wooden spoon, Massey, I think I'm right in saying he's guaranteed to finish bottom.
If he wins 4 games, that would be 12 points. No, Massey could still somehow escape if he wins all 4 games, which is unlikely because he's currently losing.
Okay. He's losing in the postponed games as well, isn't he? So it would be a big ask to turn that round.
No, he's actually beating Conrad quite clearly. He's tight against Gaz, and then he's losing to me. So he could win.
That game against Gaz in the postponed games could be crucial to Gaz's outcome.
It could be. It's currently 25 to 20 in Massey's favour.
He is points behind Ben in the table, so that game could be pivotal in the escape from the wooden spoon fixture. So you're still looking at Gaz, Massey, Gaz, Ben and Conrad. 4 people can still be in the game no one wants to be in. Do you think? I mean, how do you win the wooden spoon? Is that by losing? It's
by
a bit
losing,
of a different.
yeah.
So it's a game that you're gonna get something if you lose. So would you rather lose and come last overall or win?
What did we decide? Did we decide it'd be 2 legs, or did we decide it's just 1 leg and they only get 1 fixture?
It's up to them, but
yeah, I think it's scheduled as 2 legs, and if it's a draw, like they win 1 each, it's total points over the 2 fixtures.
I think that's probably the fairest way of doing it, and it keeps them interested in the last week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we got the your cup predictions. No one's gone too clear cut on who they think is going to win, but that's understandable given how close it's been. So we'll just talk about now. I know Josh has a few ideas for next season, which is a hot topic and.
Well, it's a hot topic for me because I don't think anyone else actually looked at anything.
I'd like to. Sorry, go on, Josh.
The only thing I'd like to introduce is you must draft and have a minimum in your squad at all times of 2 goalkeepers, 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, 2 strikers. Basically, to increase the likelihood of being able to field at a starting 11 if you got injuries that you can't prevent, and then like Ben and Massey have, if you lose interest and just can't be bothered anymore, you can still field a starting 11. That's all I'd probably introduce.
Wise, I think that's fair enough. It's something that we'd have to monitor over the season to make sure everyone was adhering to those rules, which is fair enough. It's for once, as Conrad's not going to believe his ears here, but I actually agree with that. Anthony, what were you going to say?
I just wanted to add in just a straight set of rules for. I think we should have forfeit if you finish bottom or lose the wooden spoon, either or. Potentially lose the wooden spoon, and a reward for finishing first. So just something simple that, like, on the draft night, if we're all there, on awards night when we go out, each person in the league has to buy the winner a drink.
That's quite a good suggestion. I think that's something we could
So
all.
basically, the
But
winner
I mean,
doesn't pay for their night out.
going
Basically.
going off the last couple of nights out, Anthony, are you and Josh going to last 10 drinks?
I was ill. I was really ill. Right? I'm having that. I was dying that night. I
The
didn't
night
realise
out,
how bad it was.
We went out for the awards night. I was on form until the final closing moments, and it all went Pete Tonk.
I think I honestly had the flu. Like I've never had a cold that bad.
I think drinking Calpol in a pub probably didn't help.
That's how bad it was. But
Right,
no,
so that's a couple of rule ideas, and the other one that's been a debate all season is formations. What's valid and what's not. We need to either decide to go. In my view, we need to decide whether to go with just what the fantasy app allows you. We make our own and all agree before the start of next season.
I think
it'd be easier just to follow the normal, but that's just my view.
certainly. I mean, it
think-
depends what wants to be added in.
I'd go off the normal and just add 5-3-2. That's all I'd add. They don't allow 5-3-2 on the website.
Do they not?
Nope.
I thought 5-3-2 was
Let me
allowed
just
because we
double
have that in ours.
It's 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-5-1, 3-5-2, 5-3-2. Oh, sorry, do you have 5-3-2? And
Yeah, I
3-4-3.
thought so.
I was going to say because I'm pretty damn sure I played 5-3-2 this week.
Yeah.
I was like, oh crap.
So yeah, I'm happy with that because obviously there was conspiracies of 6-4-0, 6-3-1. Even Adams of infamous 2-5-3, I believe it was.
I think three.
That wasn't my fault.
The 3-6-1.
I don't think you can have it really.
I think that's the only other one that we could have in, and that's
No,
because Pep does play it.
He don't play no.
It's not really, is it? It classes because of the wing backs, really, aren't they? I think so. It's
Yeah.
more of a 5. To be honest,
We'd
than,
also mess
than a
up the
3.
sheets trying to have a 6 across as well, so I wouldn't bother.
That's true.
I think if everyone is in agreement when we all get together or when they listen to this and we all sort of have a vote and say like next season, so there's no confusion, there's no argument, it's whatever's on the official app is what we're allowed.
There's a rule page as well on the sheets. Just I don't think anyone's
If anyone's read it.
if anyone's actually bothered to read it.
All right. So again, ideas for next season. I know Josh, you have draft ideas. It might be easier to explain vocally than in writing, possibly.
Let me just get it up. Basically, my idea was I just saw it on Reddit. I just thought, so just do something different to get everyone involved, sort of a bit more fun. Is an auction draft where you could either auction off draft picks or round 1, pick 1, round 1, pick 2 sort of thing, or literally auction off players to the highest bidder. It's hard. It's a good idea, but it's again organising it, getting it done properly, and everyone actually being interested in doing it. Because it's a group decision, or is it a group decision, or is it league winners' decision?
Well,
We always said it was league winners.
We did say it was. We said that the league winner determined the fun way of doing the random,
Order, yeah.
which is something that me and Conrad discussed last night. And he had ideas about maybe a virtual horse race or something along those lines. Basically, I mean, Conrad's view, I'll speak for him obviously because he's not here, he said that where there was 10 competitors that all had a fairly equal chance would be the best way to do it. Something that we could all watch and be involved in.
Well,
That's
the Royal
something that
Rumble
we
wasn't
could
as
explore.
a bad idea for the first try. It worked.
I was surprised. I'll be the first to hold my hands up. I didn't think it would work, and it did. So, fair do.
I just
Again,
think, sorry, I just think the money draft it just changes everything, sort of thing. Just
It
gives-
does, but that could might not necessarily be a good thing. I think we've had 2 seasons now where we've done it in a similar way, the draft,
Yeah.
same, and it's been 2 good seasons. And I'd be worried that because the draft's so important, that changing it might
That's
be
why
bad.
I'd like to do a trial run, but it's hard to do a trial run because people probably wouldn't do it or anything. If that makes sense.
Take it seriously either. I don't.
Yeah.
I think they'd probably bid too high for the first round, etc.
Oh, that's kind of their choice, isn't it? That's the whole point of it.
I mean, again, it could be something that we vote on
Yeah.
and see what happens. I mean, personally, I think it's a gamble that might ruin it. That's my personal view, which
The only reason I got it from Reddit, from a American football drafting. They do it, but they only do it for 5 rounds, and then they ask their order. But I don't know how. I'd have to look into it a bit more. But that's just. I saw it. I thought it'd be a fun idea to get everyone involved. Have like a little auction.
Oh, it's certainly a fun idea. It's just whether
It's
it
just-
actually work. We don't
I
know.
mean, it's difficult to say, isn't it, how it would go. Is there any other ideas or rules changes or anything that anyone has?
I think the main thing is we need to determine a draft date soon because it's going to be 2 months and that'll be gone in no time.
Yeah, or do we need to know the fixtures though to know how many weeks before the season we do it?
Me and Josh said we were thinking about 2 or 3 weeks before.
Well,
Basically.
the season started this year. Let me have a look. Let's get right to the bottom. Season started this year on August 13th, which is a Saturday.
And it'll be around then.
Yeah.
So
So
if
I
we
reckon if we do it before.
Although, did it not
August-
start late this season because of the Euros?
I'm not sure. I don't
Possibly.
believe so.
But I reckon we try and get it done before the end of July.
July, yeah. Now, I was saying for that as well, Ben will obviously need notice to book the night off. So I thought it'd be a better idea to do the draft and the awards night on the same night. So we do, a day session basically. We do the awards night and then we draft after the awards.
It would give us something to organise the awards night and where and what. That's the other thing that I was actually going to bring up about the awards night is how do we... Last year we did it on paper, all the voting and stuff, and it was quite complicated and annoying. I was thinking maybe we do like a poll on the Facebook page.
I like it being secret though.
Yeah, I know. Or we could just do it to either me or Josh or whoever wants to do it. Everyone send their votes to one person, and then only one person knows.
So, who would nominate the things? Would we all nominate one?
What I'd
and
do
then vote?
is make a poll, and you can all add an option. I'd add, say, player of the season. Pick a player from your team, and no one votes. No one
No one
votes.
votes. You're just offering your player out.
Yeah. So you vote for your own basically because you put
No,
it
you
in.
don't vote for your own. You can't vote for your own. You just put you think your player of the season was.
That's what he's saying. He's saying like you've
sorry.
added
Okay,
your own
yeah,
to the
yeah,
poll,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then after that gets written down and the vote's in private. Then, so we don't know who's won.
Whereas
Okay.
stuff like Banter of the Year award can probably be applied as well to that. Or something.
Yeah.
Everyone's involved. Everyone can be on that list, can't they? Just so
Yeah.
it's. I mean, there'll be some that won't be in there, and there'll be some that will. So.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, again, it's the only difficulty is getting everyone to actually include their
Do a
selection.
serious vote. Do a serious
Yeah,
vote.
we're not adding fucking Jimmy Savile to the vote on Player of the Year and things like that might be helpful.
I think the only reason I want to set it in stone is to get people like Chris, Gaz, and Jim, who I know are notoriously busy. Make sure they're able to either have the time to make arrangements so they can be there, or we might need to change it, something like
See,
that.
that time of year, people have their holidays and stuff, don't they? So it'd be to work around that kind of thing. It's the kind of thing that it might not seem urgent to discuss, but it probably is.
Yeah, that's the thing for all of us. It's not too bad because we don't work weekends, so it's not that bad. But Ben does, so I know the sooner we all say we can definitely do it, the sooner he can put the request in.
Well, for me, I mean, I've got nothing more to add. I don't know about you two.
I think that's all.
Just looking through my Google Drive.
Sure.
Rulebook, Royal Rumble.
I suppose I could have a little go on transfers potentially. Who you think might be a good pick next year? I mean, one question I wanted to ask you, Adam: are you going to be going for Harry Kane again, or is his injury scaring you off a bit?
It's in his contract that he has to sign for me next season. I don't know if anyone else is aware, but yeah. I would. I mean, if I'm not for. I mean, I've been told by more than one member of this league that if they're before me on the draft, they're picking Kane just to piss me off. I mean,
the question is, if he does pick Kane, would you try and bargain with him with one of your better players to get Kane back?
Probably. I was just about to say, depending on, I'd probably let the season run for a couple of weeks and see how they started, and then I'd make me move.
But then
probably.
again, sorry, that's another thing we're talking about moving to Wembley, aren't they? Will they perform like they're doing? Will they perform again?
Yeah, I mean, this is the gamble. I mean, who knows? These could be mind games. I could be just trying to get someone to waste a pick on someone who might not perform next season. They're not mind games because I've only just thought of that now.
Another good point is Brighton and Newcastle are guaranteed to come up next season. Is anyone looking at their players?
Newcastle certainly.
Yeah.
Brighton.
Brighton maybe not. It depends who they sign, and you could say the same for Newcastle probably.
I think,
but I won't be going out. I won't be going up there picking Dwight Gale in my first round if that's what you're asking.
Why not? Why not?
He's not a Premier League striker.
Well, we're actually on topic of player of the season. Who would you vote now, Adam, as your player of the season? Obviously, Harry Kane.
My player of the season for my team is Harry, but I can't vote for him, can I?
But you'd nominate Harry Kane.
Nominate Harry Kane.
And
yeah.
Anthony would nominate Ibra.
I I don't know actually.
Actually thinking about it, Josh, because of his injuries, I don't know whether I could nominate Kane. I might have,
Yeah.
Or
I have to
Sadio.
nominate Mane.
But then again, he's injured now.
But now, yeah, exactly. But I think to still get 20 goals after being injured for that long, I think
And
Kane's still.
and Afcon.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant Mane then.
Yeah, no, so to still get. I mean, Mane is still Liverpool's top scorer this season. That's
Yeah.
impressive. But yeah, I'd pick Kane because he's recovered from injury and still got 20 goals twice.
Fair enough. I probably might, I don't know if it would shock people. I'd probably vote for Gana Gay. I think he's been unreal.
It's not. I don't think it's a shock. He's been.
He's got the most tackles in the league over Kante. That's a fact
He's basically Kante, but
for Everton.
in a not as good team.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And if that's it then, lads. We're done.
Yeah, everyone happy. We have. Right, we'll finish the league show. It's been the first one for a while.
Exactly.
It'd be interesting to see what feedback we get from it.
If anyone actually watches.
Yeah. So good luck in the cups, unless you're playing me. Right. It's a good night from me, and good night to Josh and Anthony.
good night.